In the age of social media, everyone lives under a microscope. Some people polish their image until it shines. Others build their fame on carefully crafted lies.
Me?
I only wanted a quiet life as a small-time streamer. But one fateful live stream turned my secret marriage into public entertainment. When a smug influencer flaunted her Ivy League degree and property deed, mocking me as an uneducated nobody, my chat begged me to hit back. I sighed, opened my drawer full of credentials, and pulled one out at random, my marriage certificate, signed by her celebrity idol. That morning, my first mistake was opening Twitter. A trending topic screamed at me, "Famous actor's secret marriage exposed." My stomach twisted. I already knew I wouldn't like where this was going. Before I could lock my phone, a familiar warmth pressed against my back. Chase wrapped his arms around me, voice thick with sleep. "I'm so jealous," he murmured.
Here we go again.
I patted his hand gently. "Don't start." But instead of listening, he rolled me beneath him, feigning heartbreak. "We've been married a whole year, and you still won't tell the world. What? Am I not good enough? I can remind you why you married me." He was very eager to demonstrate. "Wait, stop," I gasped, remembering last night's chaos. "You've got filming this morning. You'll be late." Chase groaned and buried his face in my shoulder. "Then come to set with me." "I can't. I've got a live stream duel today." He froze. "A what?" After stepping back from running my company and handing it to the VP, I'd fallen down the streaming rabbit hole, chatting with viewers, singing, sometimes dancing. My following was tiny, but I liked it that way. Until 3 days ago. That was when Sophie Miller, the self-proclaimed internet sweetheart, with 2 million followers, showed up on my feed. She'd posted a video of herself feeding swans at a lakeside, makeup flawless, smile radiant. The comments were worshipful. Goddess energy. "She's feeding them again. So kind. Met her at the park. She's even prettier in person." I should have scrolled past. Instead, I commented, "It's migration season. Feeding them now might keep them from flying south, and they could starve." Within minutes, her fans swarmed me. "Jealous much? Who even are you? Some wannabe streamer?" My irritation flared. I replied with actual scientific sources. They called me desperate. Then Sophie herself stepped in with a sugary post. "Don't bully her, guys. Maybe she really knows more than us about birds." Her fans rushed to defend her. "You're too humble, Sophie. Didn't you graduate from Columbia?" She even tagged me and challenged me to a friendly livestream debate so I could educate her audience. I saw right through it. She wanted to embarrass me in front of millions. What she didn't know was I wasn't afraid. Because I went to Columbia too, and one look at her degree told me it wasn't nearly as real as her filters. 10 minutes before the livestream face-off, my chat was already swarming, with Sophie's followers, not mine. "Can't believe she actually accepted this," one wrote. "She's gonna crash and burn." Her fans are just desperate. Sophie has a real education. Where'd she even get the nerve to challenge her? My small circle of loyal viewers tried to defend me, but their voices drowned under the flood of mockery. Out of curiosity, I slipped into Sophie's stream. Her camera panned over a wall plastered with posters of Chase. Of course, she was showing off a glossy signed photo. "Look who I met at the airport last week. He's even more handsome in person." She pressed the photo to her cheek, acting shy. "Wait, that's personalized," her fans squealed. To Sophie, that's basically flirting. They'd make such a perfect couple. Sophie hid behind her hand, giggling. "You're all imagining things." That's when someone noticed my username in her viewer list. "Hey, isn't that Claire? What's she doing here, spying?" Sophie chuckled softly. "It's fine. Maybe she wants to learn a few streaming tips. I mean, I don't rely on thirst traps for followers." Her chat jumped on it instantly. "Exactly. She's only popular because she acts desperate." Seriously? When the match started, I put on a leather jacket, sunglasses, and a mask before going live. Her fans were immediately confused. I spoke softly. "Sorry, I've had people flag my streams for the dumbest reasons. Gotta stay cautious." "Is she trying to throw shade?" One comment read. "Definitely. Acting brave with barely 20,000 followers." Sophie gave a syrupy smile. "Let's get straight to it. What's your academic background, Claire? It'd be funny if someone without a degree was criticizing me." I slid off my sunglasses. "So, I need a diploma just to have an opinion?" Her fans started chanting for Sophie to prove her credentials. At first, Sophie acted reluctant. But once her fans promised gifts, she gave in, saying, "All right, let's settle this with our qualifications. It'll be quick. I've got dinner plans with a friend who's filming nearby." The chat went feral. The only one shooting in the city right now is Chase Hamilton. Wait, is Sophie going to dinner with him? Sophie coyly smiled. I never said that. Don't jump to conclusions. She pulled out a pile of documents, holding them up one by one. My bachelor's from Columbia, my teaching certificate, my professional license. Her chat went wild with praise, then turned on me. Don't embarrass yourself, Claire. What are you going to show, your GED? If she pulls out anything that tops Sophie's, I'll call her daddy. One of my loyal viewers med me. Claire, don't take that. Go off. I opened my drawer and grabbed a random certificate. It was our marriage certificate. Silence blanketed both streams. I blinked, closed it casually. Oops. Wrong one. Then I pulled out my Columbia master's degree. The silence deepened. Resting my chin on my hand, I said, "By the way, Sophie, you might have met a scammer at the airport. My husband's signature doesn't look that bad. And about that dinner, maybe skip it. You never know who's harvesting kidneys these days." I drummed my fingers on the desk and added, "Also, who is it that said they'd call me daddy? Go ahead. Daddy's listening." Meanwhile, on set, Chase was waiting between takes when his co-star Tyler kept shouting, "Holy shit," and rushed over with his phone. "Dude, is this actually your wife?" Chase looked at the screen and froze. Tyler was shocked. "Holy crap, it really is. I was just watching a random stream and witnessed the scandal of the century." When Chase didn't respond, Tyler seemed to realize something. "Though, she probably should have discussed this with you first, right? You're in your rising star phase. Her dropping the marriage bomb like this could affect your..." Chase murmured. Finally, Tyler was confused. "What?" Chase grabbed Tyler excitedly and slapped his back. "I finally get to claim her publicly. Back on my channel, chaos erupted. At first, Sophie's fans doubled down. She faked that certificate, obviously. She's delusional. Probably edited Chase's name onto it. She planned this because she's jealous Sophie likes him." Then one comment slipped through the flood. "If they both went to Columbia, why do their diplomas look different?" Sophie's smile twitched. "Lighting issue, probably." Then she forced a laugh. "That marriage certificate looked too real, though. You're a Chase fan too, right? I'll grab you an autograph at dinner." Her fans went ballistic. She admitted it. Sophie and Chase at dinner. OMG. Sophie giggled and checked her gift counter, voice dripping with faux humility. "You're all so sweet. Let's stop picking on her now. I'm obviously ahead, so we can..." She froze. Giant gift animations started flooding my chat. Someone named Chase Not Drunk was dropping the most expensive items on the platform, $3,000 apiece. The room went silent. Even I stopped breathing. Within minutes, he'd matched all of Sophie's totals. She tried to play it off with a tight smile. "Looks like Claire's got a sugar daddy. Good for her. I don't do that sort of thing with male fans." That line was gasoline. Her followers started sending smaller gifts in retaliation, but dozens of $10 donations couldn't compete with those massive bursts of confetti. "Is this real?" someone gasped. "That's over 100,000 already." Then the mystery account typed, "Oops, wrong account. Switching now." My stomach dropped. A second later, Chase's verified account, with 10 million followers, appeared. He sent 10 more top-tier gifts. "Chase, babe, tell me I'm amazing." I covered my face. "You're unbelievable." The chat exploded. "It's really Chase Hamilton. Claire's married to him for real?" I'm screaming in my room. Someone asked, "Chase, don't you know Sophie?" Chase. Who? Never heard of her. The look on Sophie's face was almost tragic, like she'd been slapped with reality on camera. Then another account popped up. Tyler Chun, Chase's co-star. "Tyler. Hey, sis-in-law. We should grab dinner sometime." Viewers lost their minds. Numbers skyrocketed. The timer hit 0, and I ended the battle. As soon as I logged off, I leaned back with a sigh. The war had only just begun. That night, I was drifting in and out of sleep when I heard the door creak open. A familiar scent filled the room before strong arms wrapped around my waist. Chase slid into bed behind me, pulling me close. I mumbled, half asleep, "Weren't you supposed to stay at the hotel until filming wrapped?" He nipped my ear and murmured, "Too happy to wait. Had to see you." That was Chase, impulsive, romantic, and completely smitten. I'd always known he loved me deeply. Our families had known each other for generations. Chase and I grew up side by side, went to the same schools from elementary to high school. He was a handful back then, always skipping classes, constantly in trouble, but somehow he'd still show up every morning just to hand me breakfast. He'd get me water during breaks, carry my bag after school, and make sure I got home safe. We fell into an easy rhythm. Started dating in college, spent 7 years together, and finally got married. When he first joined the entertainment world, his looks made him an instant heartthrob. Offers poured in, idol dramas, brand deals, everything. Girls lined up just to get his number. But when he saw how uncomfortable it made me, he turned it all down and switched to serious roles, tough scripts, minimal glamour, the hard road. He said he wanted a career built on skill, not image. Still, I knew his confidence sometimes faltered beneath the surface. In the last 2 years, his anxiety had worsened. That's why he'd been asking more often to go public with our marriage. He wanted to stop pretending, to stop hiding me. The next morning, his wish came true. The headlines exploded. Chase Hamilton's secret wife revealed. At first, the internet lost its mind. Then the digging began. Clips from the live stream went viral, and the public suddenly realized Sophie's swan-feeding aesthetic was actually harmful. Under mounting pressure, she had no choice but to issue an apology. But I was the one who paid the bigger price. My follower count skyrocketed overnight, from 20,000 to over 1 million. Half the new comments were pure curiosity. The other half tore me apart. This is his wife. She's just a nobody streamer. What does he even see in her? Is he blind? Unfollowing Chase immediately. Some of the more obsessive fans went further. They found my address. Day 1, they taped hate notes to my door. Day 2, fake blood on my front step. Day 3, when I went to pick Chase up from set, I found a dead rat on my windshield. Through my rearview mirror, I noticed a white car in the corner of the garage. The window was halfway down, revealing a phone camera pointed right at me. Great. Group harassment. I calmly called security, then used a tissue to pick up the dead rat, pretending to walk out while actually circling around behind the white car. Before I got close, I heard giggling inside. Haha, did you see how she walked? She's totally freaked out. I'm surprised she didn't scream. That would have been better content. What should we do next, guys? Should we mail her a bloody dress in a few days? The girl holding the phone hadn't finished talking when I tossed the dead rat onto her head. Ah! Screams erupted from inside the car. Someone tried to get out, but I blocked the door and grabbed the phone. The screen was still live streaming to 20,000 viewers. I pointed the camera at the 4 panicked girls and smiled. Watching one person suffer is boring. Here are 4 for your entertainment. And, by the way, I picked up the rat again while they scrambled away. During my research days, I dissected more lab rats than you'll see in your entire lives. Save your energy and stop wasting your time. The girls finally snapped out of it and started cursing. You bitch, I'll. They were about to gang up on me when the security guards I'd called arrived with riot gear. The girls got scared and stayed in the car. The head of security apologized profusely. Miss Jensen, I'm so sorry. We failed to stop them from entering. I dusted off my hands. According to harassment laws, they splattered blood, left a dead rat, and threatened to send me a bloody dress, all of which threaten my personal safety. I have evidence. Call the police. Hearing this, the girls panicked. The loudest one started crying. We're still in school. We're young and didn't know better. Please don't call the police. I turned to look at them helplessly. You're all adults. Time to face consequences for your actions. I drove off without looking back. By the time I reached the studio, the chaos had already begun. Chase had just finished changing when a wall of reporters swarmed him, microphones and cameras flashing. I stayed back in the crowd, sunglasses on, watching him fidget impatiently and glance at his watch. Hurry it up, he said flatly. I've got somewhere to be. A reporter jumped on the line. Is this about your marriage news? Are you rushing to deal with the fallout? Chase looked at him like he'd asked the dumbest question alive. No. My wife's picking me up. We haven't seen each other in 2 days, 5 hours, and 37 minutes. Don't make me late. The reporter blinked. Right. I pinched the bridge of my nose behind my glasses. Another reporter tried again. Did your wife tell you she planned to reveal your marriage publicly? Chase frowned. No. Then how do you feel about her doing it without warning? He sighed. I begged her to go public for a year, and she refused every time. Then she gets mad at some random streamer and just blurts it out on camera. Not romantic at all. The reporter perked up. Was that random streamer Sophie Miller by any chance? Chase waved him off. Not important. What matters is I see my wife now. Thanks. Then, like an overexcited Labrador, he bolted toward me. Cameras clicked like machine guns as he threw his arms around me, trying to nuzzle my cheek. I pushed his face away. There are cameras everywhere. He just grinned wider. Babe, I missed you. If the paparazzi weren't watching, I might have smacked him. Affectionately, of course. When we got home, I told him about the dead rat incident. His whole expression darkened, and he immediately made a call. An hour later, my phone started lighting up with messages from old friends. Girl, your husband just declared war online. I opened Twitter and saw his statement pinned to the top of every trending page. He condemned the stalkers, promised legal action, and then, because Chase couldn't help himself, posted a long confession. He'd written out our story from start to finish. Childhood friends, college sweethearts, 7 years of dating. He called marrying me the greatest victory of his life. The post exploded across social media within minutes, reshared by his team, fellow actors, and news outlets. I turned to him, still on the couch, phone in hand. You wrote this ages ago, didn't you? He met my gaze and smiled. Yeah. I've been saving it for when you'd finally let me tell the world. He promised to handle everything, the media, the fans, the chaos. But neither of us realized what was waiting around the corner. The stream where I got sent a dead rat somehow exploded online. Overnight, I gained 1 million new followers. The comments were wild. This woman's a legend. I'm obsessed. After reading Chase's essay, I think he's the one who lucked out in this marriage. Starting today, I'm your loyal fan. Even screenshots of me from different angles started trending. People claimed it was a tragedy I wasn't an actress. Before I could even wrap my head around the attention, the streaming platform reached out. They wanted me to join a charity gala they were hosting. Since it was for a good cause, and the timing was perfect, I said yes. Each streamer could bring one guest. Chase had a commercial shoot that day, and wouldn't be back until late, so I decided to invite one of the artists under my company, someone who could use the exposure. When I arrived at the venue, I spotted Sophie right away. She was dressed to kill, a backless gown glimmering under the lights, laughing sweetly with investors. The moment she noticed me alone, her lips curved in a smug smile. I thought Chase would definitely show up with you. Trouble in paradise. I gave her a bored look. With his status and this event scale, having him here would just hand the organizers free publicity. Her smirk faltered, but before she could reply, a tall man appeared and wrapped an arm around her waist. Just finished my audition, babe. Hope I'm not late. Sophie lit up again and lifted her chin. Let me introduce you. This is my boyfriend, Jake Miller. He's acted with Chase before. Oh, and he's the nephew of the DreamWorks CEO. I studied him and smiled faintly. Impressive. Jake met my gaze, clearly enjoying himself. Funny story, I ran into Chase in my company's elevator once. I heard he and my aunt have a pretty close relationship. Didn't expect you to snag him first, though. Sophie's eyes gleamed with anticipation, clearly waiting for drama. I said nothing, just smiled. Moments later, my guest pulled up. Jake turned his head, saw who it was, and froze. Sophie frowned. What is it? That's Ryan Evans, Jake muttered. He's a senior at my company. You don't know him. She turned to look, and when she spotted the strikingly handsome man stepping out of the car, her expression brightened. Oh, you're right. Say hi to him then. Before Jake could move, I waved. Ryan over here. He strode over confidently, barely glancing at Jake before greeting me. Claire. Both Sophie and Jake went rigid. I gestured toward Jake. Do you know this guy? Says he's a new artist we signed. Ryan gave him a blank look. Maybe? Doesn't ring a bell. I tilted my head. Strange. He claimed he's my nephew. I must have missed the family memo. Jake's face turned white. Amused, I continued. You probably joined while I was on leave, so we never met. You just knew the CEO's last name was Jensen. You saw Chase before, because he came to help me with paperwork. But you were right about one thing. We are that kind of relationship. People often wondered how someone my age ended up running an entertainment company. Talent? Not really. It started with my dad. Back in college, I told him I wanted work experience. He refused to let me intern at his firm, so he gave me seed money instead and told me to start my own business. That same year, Chase had just debuted. I gathered a few partners, launched a small studio, and boldly announced I'd make him a star. One success led to another, and before long, we were a powerhouse in the industry. Even though my partners handled most operations, I remained the largest shareholder. Jake was stammering now. See, Claire, boss, I was just showing off. I didn't realize who you were. I'm sorry, really sorry. Sophie's jaw dropped. Then, realizing she'd been duped, she shoved him hard. You used me. You lying scammer. She threw me one last venomous glare before storming off. Honestly,
not sure why she was angry at me.
I sighed and looked at Jake. He had the kind of good looks that could fool people for a while, but with his attitude, he'd crash sooner or later. Terminate your contract, I said. His face went blank. Boss, please, I can change. I didn't even look at him again. When he realized I meant it, his tone flipped from begging to bitter. You'll regret this. At the time, I didn't think much of it. Until the next morning, when the internet exploded with headlines. Chase Hamilton's wife revealed as secret CEO of DreamWorks Entertainment. Rumor has it she financed his debut and orchestrated his rise. Is Chase just her kept man? Their childhood sweetheart narrative might be fabricated. Apparently, I was now the nation's favorite sugar mama. Reading the gossip articles, I couldn't decide whether to laugh or scream. I wanted to tell Chase how absurd it all was, but he'd been in the bathroom forever. It was too quiet. No water running. Suspicious. I pressed my ear against the door, and before I knew it, it swung open. I stumbled straight into him. He'd just showered, water still clinging to his skin, a towel around his waist. We locked eyes. Couldn't wait, he teased, grinning. I gaped at him. What are you? Before I could finish, he scooped me up and tossed me onto the bed. I pushed at his chest. What are you doing? He nipped at my ear, voice low. Making sure my sugar mama's happy. Unbelievable. Not only was Chase unbothered by the rumor, he was actively playing into it. At his next event, he wore the designer coat I'd given him for his birthday. Reporter. Looking sharp today. Special occasion. Chase. My wife picked this out. Reporter. Congratulations on your nomination. Chase. Thanks. My wife congratulated me last night too. The reporter was speechless. When netizens saw how nonchalant he was, they switched sides instantly. If he didn't seem defensive, then clearly the rumor must be fake. Ironically, Chase gained fans from the whole fiasco. My company, however, took a hit. So I lawyered up and filed defamation suits against the media outlets involved. Since my demands were high, they hired their own firm too. On the day of negotiations, I didn't need to show up, but I was bored, so I went anyway. What I didn't expect was for the opposing lawyer to walk in and freeze. Ethan White, my high school classmate, someone I hadn't seen in a decade. Once the meeting ended, Ethan and I silently decided to catch up and walked to a cafe nearby. Back in high school, Chase, Ethan, and I were in the same class. To be honest, I barely remember most of our classmates, but Ethan's hard to forget. He transferred in during sophomore year and immediately dethroned me as top student. Naturally, I couldn't stand that. I spent a month cramming and reclaimed the title on the next exam. That set off a rivalry that lasted until graduation. Then he went overseas for college and we lost touch. Now, 10 years later, he looked older, steadier, more refined. Just came back to the States? I asked. He smiled faintly. Yeah. Never thought the first case I'd handle here would involve you. He hesitated. I saw the news about your marriage. Didn't expect you to end up with Chase. Something in his tone rubbed me the wrong way. Why? I asked, eyebrow raised. He swirled his coffee, pretending to be casual. I just didn't think you'd go for someone like him. Excuse me? That smug tone set my teeth on edge. Someone like him? Meaning what? Ethan's expression turned patronizing. You know, no discipline, no manners. He was the example teachers used when they said, don't be like him. He's not like us. The sound of my cup hitting the saucer cut through the air. Ethan, I said coolly. Chase and I are the us now. You're not part of that equation. He froze, caught off guard. Any trace of nostalgia vanished. I stood up. I've got work. See you around. As I turned to leave, I caught sight of someone by the window, Sophie, pretending to scroll through her phone. When our eyes met, she flinched and looked away quickly. Her guilty reaction made me frown. When I got home later, the apartment was empty. Chase was still out for a commercial shoot and wouldn't be back until late. I showered, scrolled through social media for a bit, and must have drifted off. Sometime in the night, Someone's arms wrapped tightly around me. Startled, I opened my eyes, ready to scream, until I caught his familiar scent.
Chase.
Before I could turn on the light, his lips found mine, his kisses rough and desperate. Chase was usually teasing and gentle, but tonight something felt off. His touches carried a strange intensity, as if he were trying to claim me. By the time we both stilled, I could barely breathe. "What's wrong?" I whispered. He buried his face against my neck. "Missed you," he mumbled. He didn't elaborate, but the tension in his arms told me enough. I stroked his back until he fell asleep. By morning, he was gone. When I called, his assistant answered, saying there was an urgent schedule and he'd be gone for 3 days. My instincts told me something wasn't right. I texted Chase's assistant privately. He'd known me for years, so he came clean right away. He said Chase had seen something online the previous afternoon, and ever since, he'd been quiet and distracted. That confirmed my suspicion. Since I had access to all his accounts, I logged into his Twitter. There, among his DMs, was a message from @Sophie Miller containing a picture, me and Ethan at the cafe. Of course, Sophie had taken it herself. Apparently, she had nothing better to do than stir up trouble. Well, if she wanted to play, I'd play harder. Sophie had a long-standing rivalry with another streamer, someone equally famous who hated her guts. I messaged that rival directly. Sophie forged her degree and certifications. "I've got proof. No charge." Her reply came instantly.
Queen.
"I've been waiting for this day." Within hours, the evidence was ready to go. It wasn't even hard. Columbia had changed their diploma format in 1985, but Sophie's 2017 version matched the old one. A single verification through the National Student Clearinghouse confirmed there was no record of her enrollment. Her professional licenses were just as fake, obvious to anyone who checked the official seals. She'd flown under the radar because she wasn't that famous yet. But fame brought scrutiny, and she picked the wrong person to provoke. I had two advantages: time and money. After handing everything over to her rival, I turned to pack a bag. I didn't fully understand why Chase had reacted so strongly to that cafe photo, but if he was hurt, I needed to fix it. Halfway through packing, I paused and laughed to myself. This was straight out of a cheesy romance novel, except the wife-chasing husband part didn't quite fit when I was the one still sore from last night. Oh, he was going to pay for this. Technically, Chase did have a last-minute schedule, but the job itself only lasted a day. The other two clearly added just to dodge me. So I packed my luggage and showed up at his hotel unannounced. The look on his face when he saw me was priceless. I crossed my arms. "Go on. Keep hiding." He sighed, rubbing his forehead, and reached for my suitcase. "Let's talk upstairs." I didn't move. After a few steps, he turned to look at me again. I pouted, leaning slightly on one foot. My heels gave me blisters. He froze for a second, then pushed my suitcase toward his assistant and walked straight back. Before I knew it, he'd scooped me into his arms, in full view of the lobby, and carried me into the elevator. My face burned the entire way up. Once inside the room, he silently grabbed some bandages, knelt down, and started tending to my feet. The quiet between us was thick. I finally broke it. "You saw the photo of me and Ethan, didn't you?" He didn't answer right away, just gave a faint hum. I waited. Finally, he sat across from me, his expression hesitant. "In high school, everyone said you liked him." My brain short-circuited. "What?" Chase looked both sheepish and defensive. "You were always with him, solving problems, talking so intently." I hated it. "One time, I even put hot sauce in your sandwich because I was jealous. But you didn't even notice, you never looked at me like that." I stared at him. "Is it possible I was focused on math problems, not Ethan, you jealous fool?"
He winced.
Hearing his explanation, I finally saw that time through his eyes. Chase had been in the performance track back then, barely in regular classes, so he didn't have close friends. Except me, his childhood friend. I, meanwhile, had been too obsessed with competing against Ethan to notice how isolated Chase felt. He must have overheard classmates gossiping about me liking Ethan and believed it. And that tiny thorn never really went away, even after we married. When Ethan returned and Chase saw us talking like old friends, all that insecurity flared up again. But how could I not love him? Even with all his flaws and impulsive moods, Chase was the one constant in my life. When we were little, he was a scrawny kid from next door. Our families were close, but I barely noticed him until the kitten incident. A mother cat had climbed a tree in my yard, leaving her kitten dangling from a high branch. I was crying helplessly under the tree when Chase stepped forward. He wasn't even as tall as me, but he pulled me aside and climbed up himself. When he reached the kitten, tucked it into his pocket, and smiled down at me, he looked like a tiny hero. He got in trouble for that later. His dad scolded him for wasting time, but he never told on me. As we grew up, he became more and more popular, while I stayed the same, sharp, reserved, hard to approach. Still, he always found excuses to talk to me, to make me laugh. In our first year of high school, he told me, "I think I want to study acting." "Why acting?" I'd asked. He'd smirked under the sun. "Because my dad says if I don't study, I'll only make money off my face. So I'll prove him right. I'll make money with my face." He said it like a joke, but he meant it. The first time I saw him perform on stage, lit up by the spotlight, I realized how far he'd come. That was the first time I felt a distance between us, and the reason I pushed myself harder. I wanted us to stand side by side, both shining in our own right. But in focusing on my goals, I ignored his quiet fears. At 17 and 18, we were too proud to talk and too insecure to be honest. Even after we got married, that unspoken wound lingered, showing up only when old ghosts like Ethan brought it back to life. That night, lying beside Chase and staring at his back, I suddenly understood something. We both had our flaws. He'd grown up with harsh parents, which left him insecure. I, on the other hand, was spoiled enough to never learn how to say what I truly felt. Come to think of it, I never actually told Chase that I loved him. Not once. No wonder the man was constantly uneasy. Maybe I should say it tomorrow? I tried forming the words, but they felt stiff and strange on my tongue. Looking at Chase's broad back in the dim light, I figured I might as well practice while he was asleep. I rolled closer, leaned toward his ear, and whispered awkwardly, "I love you." His body stiffened instantly. Before I could retreat, he turned around, grabbed me, and pressed me beneath him. I expected another round of his usual wild kisses, but instead, he just buried his face in my shoulder and held still. After a long silence, I felt something warm on my skin. Tears. His voice came out hoarse. "Will you always love me?" I nodded softly. "Yes." He hesitated. "Forever." "Forever," I promised. And I meant it. It's funny how a few words can change everything. Once they were said, the tension between us dissolved like it had never existed. My mission to win back my sulking husband turned into a full-on honeymoon. We spent 2 blissful weeks at a beach resort before heading home. When we got back, the internet was buzzing. That smug streamer Sophie had been exposed for faking her degree and professional certificates. Her platform banned her, and her fans were organizing a lawsuit. Chase frowned as he read the news. Whoever did that just did me a favor. I just smiled. Not long after, Ethan started acting strange, sending me suggestive texts, as if those high school rumors had suddenly become reality. I blocked him immediately. Seriously, what gave him the idea he stood a chance next to Chase? That whole mess taught me something valuable. If I stood tall enough, no one could afford to drag me down. So, after the break, I threw myself back into work. We expanded the company, signed new artists, and built a stronger team. One of the rookies we picked up reminded me a little too much of young Chase. Sharp eyes, stubborn personality, same reckless confidence. He was talented but way too blunt for this industry. Every week he somehow got himself trending for the wrong reason. I kept meaning to pull him aside for a proper talk, but before I could, he was back on social media again, this time dragging Chase into it. Hashtag Chase Hamilton suppressing new talent hashtag. Curious, I clicked the tag. The video showed a tense scene on a variety show. The rookie stood there looking scolded while Chase leaned against a wall with his hands in his pockets, looking every bit the arrogant celebrity. At first glance, it did look bad. I was about to call Chase when a longer, clearer clip dropped. Chase's tone was exasperated. "Can you stop making trouble for once? You trend every week. Your boss is pregnant, and you're stressing her out." The rookie tried not to laugh. Okay, got it." Chase narrowed his eyes. "Why'd you roll your eyes at someone again?" The rookie shrugged. He said, "I only got these gigs because my boss has a thing for me." Chase scoffed. "Nonsense. Your boss has me." "Why would she want you?" The rookie chuckled. "True." Chase added, "Next time he mouths off, tell me." "What'll you do?" the rookie asked. Chase's voice dropped, full of mischief. "Tip off the paparazzi that he wears a wig." The rookie grinned. Genius. I watched the entire thing, wordless, somewhere between amusement and disbelief. Then my phone rang. Chase's name flashed on the screen. He sounded cheerful and completely unaware of the viral clip.
Babe.
I finished work early. I'm bringing you your favorite dessert. Come on, say, I'm amazing. I sighed. You're impossible.